Did you notice when the last global crisis actually began? It started in a shipping port in Thailand, not Wall Street, not the Federal Reserve, not a bank boardroom in London, a port where containers sit, where things move slowly, where nobody's paying attention until everything stopped moving at all. That was February 2020. And what happened next wasn't a pandemic story, it was an economic one, because here's what most people misunderstand about crises. They don't announce themselves. They don't start with a crash or a headline or a politician on TV telling you to stay calm. They start in the boring parts of the system. The parts nobody watches, the parts that only matter when they break. And by the time you notice, it's already too late. Let's rewind for a second. Most people think economic crises work like this. Something bad happens, markets panic, things collapse, cause and effect, clear and visible. That's not how it works. Real crises don't start at the top. They start at the edges. In the supply chains, the factories, the warehouses, the ports, places where the actual economy lives. Not the stock market version, the real one. The one that moves oil and medicine and microchips and food. When that system hiccups, everything else follows slowly, then suddenly. Here's why. The modern economy is built on a single fragile idea, just-in-time delivery. It sounds efficient, and it is, until it isn't. Companies don't stockpile goods anymore. They order exactly what they need, exactly when they need it. No extra inventory, no buffer, no waste. It's lean, it's profitable, it's smart. Except for one small problem, it assumes nothing will ever go wrong. And when something does, there's no cushion, no backup plan, no time to adjust. The whole system is optimized for perfection, and perfection is a terrible assumption. So when a port shuts down or a factory closes or a ship gets stuck in a canal, the ripple doesn't stop. It compounds because every company depends on another company, and that company depends on another and another. It's not a supply chain, it's a supply web. And webs are fragile. One thread snaps and tension spreads everywhere. Now here's where it gets interesting. Nobody sees it happening in real time. You don't wake up and read global supply chain collapsing. You just notice your car part takes 3 months to arrive instead of 3 days, or your medication is out of stock, or the price of lumber doubled, or semiconductors vanished, and suddenly you can't buy a new phone or a washing machine or a car without waiting 6 months. These aren't isolated problems, they're symptoms of the same thing. A system that was running so tight, so fast, so optimized that it had no room for error, and error arrived. By the time the headlines caught up, inflation was already moving. Not because governments printed money, because stuff couldn't get to people. And when supply drops and demand stays the same, prices don't ask permission. They just rise. That's not monetary policy, that's physics. Now zoom out. This isn't just about shipping containers or pandemics. This is about how every modern crisis begins. Not with the thing everyone's watching, with the thing nobody thought to watch. The 2008 financial crisis didn't start when Lehman Brothers collapsed. It started years earlier in quiet mortgage offices where loans were being written for people who couldn't pay them back. Nobody cared. It was boring, it was local, it was paperwork, until it wasn't. The 1970s oil crisis didn't start with OPEC. It started with decades of American energy dependence that everyone ignored because gas was cheap, until it wasn't. The dot-com bubble didn't pop because of one bad company. It popped because everyone stopped asking if any of these companies actually made money. The warning signs were always there. People just weren't looking in the right place. And here's the uncomfortable part. It's happening again right now. Not in the stock market, not in interest rates, in the boring parts, fertilizer shortages, diesel reserves, water access, rare earth minerals, power grids that haven't been upgraded in 40 years. These don't make headlines, but they will because the system is still running tight, still optimized, still assuming nothing will go wrong, and the math hasn't changed. When you remove all the buffers, you don't eliminate risk, you just hide it until something breaks, and something always breaks. So when the next crisis starts, it won't announce itself. It'll show up as a delay, a shortage, a price that doesn't make sense. And by the time the experts explain what happened, it'll already be in motion. Because crises don't start where the cameras are. They start where nobody's looking. And the question isn't whether the next one is coming, it's whether anyone will notice in time.